Good morning. How are you all today? I am so excited to be here and so excited to tell you guys about this message because it's been coming up a lot for I think pretty much any mom who is at home right now with her kids during winter break or summer break. For those of you in Australia, I learned that it's summer break for you guys. That's pretty cool. If you're catching this, I would love it if you guys could share this out because this message is so important. So feel free to share this, comment when you join so I can see who's here. I'm going to pull this up on my page so I can see the comments easier. And just let me know how your day's going. How's your Thursday? How's it going with your children not in school today? How's it going in general with the Christmas season coming up? Hey Cajun. Hi everyone. Let's see, I'm just gonna share this to a couple places and then we'll get started. Like I said, feel free to share this. When you share this, it means that more people are gonna be able to see it too. So just like, it takes like 2 seconds. There's like a share button on the bottom of your screen. So hey love, my son has a short day today, but he's still asleep right now. Nice. Still asleep. That's awesome. So today is his last day then. Yesterday was Alex's last day. I only have one kid in school, a lot of you guys know, and he's only in preschool, so it's like 3 hours, 3 times a week. So like, I get like 9 hours reprieve a week. My oldest, as a lot of you guys know, is homeschooling, which is awesome. And then of course the baby doesn't go to school yet. So I just want to make sure that I have this pulled up so I can see the comments as they come in. Cool. So how can you control your kids? I know that sounds such like, even the word control, right? So how we all have expectations and goals that we want as parents. And if you haven't actually like sat down recently to think about what it is you want as a parent, I would challenge you to do that first. If you go back and watch some of my previous live streams, maybe it was a post, I don't remember, but I challenged everyone to sit down and write out motherhood or parenting as a job description. Like, can you write down what is your job as a mother? Because when you chose to become a mother, and I say this over and over, it is a choice 100% because of Western medicine, and all the options out there and all the other people that want babies. Like when you chose to get pregnant or keep the baby or whatever it was, you chose to become a mother. So I want you to really understand that your life isn't happening to you. So you can't say, oh, well, I got pregnant when I was on birth control and that's why I'm a mom. Because that's what happened to me, and I absolutely could have given my baby up for adoption. And I didn't. I chose to keep him. So when I say motherhood is a choice, that is what I mean. I have a good friend, Deviani. She actually is a single mother by choice, as in she like went to a sperm bank and like figured out which donor of all these men that she was gonna like pay for in vitro. And like, because so you think, okay, mother by choice, that's what a lot of us think about, but I'm talking about anyone who got pregnant and decided to keep the baby and is now raising that baby. You chose to become a mother. So I want you to really understand that and solidify that in your brain. Okay, now that we've done that, I want you to just think about it. Maybe you don't have to write it down. Just think about your job description. Like if you could, like I've written it down somewhere, I could pull it up, but it's like, what are the hours? What are the job, like what is expected of you? All these things, okay? And you're like, oh, I'm expected to do the laundry, I'm expected to cook. Like I want you to really go deeper. Like yes, there's all this surface stuff, but like what are you expected to do with this child? And for me, what I figured out, or what I came to the conclusion of, is that it's my responsibility to raise children who are world citizens. meaning they don't just understand what's happening in their family or in their school or even in their town. They understand how they affect the whole world. So we have conversations like recycling and climate change and political stuff. Like, yes, my children are pretty young, 10, 3, and 1, but we still talk about all these things because for me, my job description includes raising children who will eventually become world citizens and will eventually become adults who run this world. If you were in jail when I was, the other woman would have kept you topless in a thong using... Well then, that's a nice little thing. Thanks, Debbie. We'll see how long that lasts. I've seen Orange is the New Black, guys. I'm not afraid. I'm not scared. Okay, so... Hey, Derek. Okay, so let me get... That's a really funny comment. My live streams have been super interesting lately, guys. Like, I don't know what it is, but, like, someone was calling me a bunch of times during one. Like, it's been crazy, so we'll just have to see how it goes, so bear with me. What actually you do? I'm a parenting coach, Derek. That's what I do. I teach moms how to love their life and to parent their children in a way that doesn't have drama and helps them stay in control and without anxiety or depression, and get connected with if they're single, get connected in a way that they can find whoever it is, or whatever it is that's going to get them to, we're made for connection, so I don't truly believe that very many women want to stay single forever, but lots of women who have been burned before, it's really hard for them to get over that. It's getting out there can be good and scary at times. You're amazing, Karen. Thank you, Cajun. Yeah. So, and then if you're married, Derek, just to finish that up, I really help strengthen that connection, that bond, so that you're not, for me, for a long time, like, I was parenting one way and my husband was parenting another way, and it was a really big cause of contention. So I've done a lot of research on how men and women are different, neuroscience, all that stuff. Like, as you follow me, you'll learn that I'm a really big nerd and that you will find all sorts of fun little tidbits that are totally science and fact-based, because that's how my brain works. So, okay, so how can you control your kids? This is something, well, let me tell you a story. This morning, I'm supposed to be live at 9 o'clock. You guys noticed I was a few minutes late. Happens, whatever. But at about 8 o'clock, I realized that we hadn't wrapped up our little jingle elf that we do. We bring little presents to a couple of our neighbors and like run away all fast and leave a little note so that they'll do it to more neighbors. And I was trying to wrap them so that as soon as I'm done with this live stream, my oldest and I can just go out and we don't have to like wrap them and then go out. And like nothing was working out. I was not dressed yet. I didn't have my makeup on yet. My phone was like MIA for a few minutes. My oldest wasn't getting up. My husband wanted to sleep in because he has the day off today, and it just was not happening the way that I wanted to. And there have been times in my life where I would have completely lost my shit. I would have been like, this is so ridiculous. This is your stupid fucking jingle elf. And I would have just like lost it. I would have screamed. I would have freaked out. But I still would have like stayed in the room and like controlled it. Hi, Kristen. I would have tried to control everything. I would have been like, you go sit down, and husband, you go do this, and the other child, you do this, and blah, 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 blah. And instead I was like, nope, I'm done for a minute. I have to go get dressed. And I left the not finished jingle elves on the table. I went downstairs and got dressed and came back up and finished wrapping them up because I was in a better mood. I left the room and I was able to get into a better space even in the 3 minutes it took me to get dressed. And then I came back upstairs, finished the jingle elf, got dressed, or put my makeup on, and came and did the live. Okay? That is how I control my children. Okay? Did you hear that? My kids weren't listening. They weren't paying attention. My husband didn't want to help me. And the way I controlled my children and my husband and my situation was I left and got dressed and came back. So what does that tell you? What it tells you is that, love your, oh, thank you. That's from Nordstrom's. This was actually a gift from a friend. So, thank you. I'm changing my style. Whoa! Sorry, guys. I'm not used to this ear thing, but apparently it makes it easier for y'all to hear me, so I'm trying it out. But I'm not used to it, so I pulled on it on accident. Sorry. Okay, so how do you control your children is you control yourself. That's literally as easy. Yeah, I took care of myself, right? So, but self-care goes way beyond bubble baths and walking out of the room or taking deep breaths or meditating or any of that stuff. Self-care is realizing that no one and nothing has power over you. And if no one and nothing has power over you, you have no power over anything or anyone. I'm going to repeat that again because it was really hard for me to understand and digest the first time I heard it. If no one and nothing has power over you, which is true, which is absolutely true, there's nothing in this world that has power over you. You're not a victim. You're not a little child anymore. All these things. If no one and nothing has power over you, then you have no power over anyone or anything. And the caveat is, except for you. Okay? So if you're the type of mom that's constantly running around, Kristen, agree, come on, you gotta chat, girl. If you're the type of mom who runs around in anxiety meltdown most of the time and you're reaching for your CBD tincture, the reason why I talk about CBD a lot, guys, there's a video from about 2 weeks ago, CBD and kids. I am a huge cannabis activist. I think that the CBD oil industry is nothing but a band-aid, honestly. Like, cannabis is great. It's safer than all the pharmaceuticals, so if you're still taking medicine for your anxiety, CBD is definitely the safer way to go. You're still medicating. You're still covering over an issue and you're not getting to the root cause of it. The root cause of anxiety in women is fear of rejection, fear of isolation, and fear. Love CBD. See, I love CBD too, but then I realized I was using it as a crutch and I wasn't getting any better. I've been using cannabis, Kristen, go back and watch. It was an hour-long video. It was amazing. It's called, what was it, Cajun? Confessions of a Canamommy. It's on there. Yeah, you still got to work on yourself and your mindset. Exactly. So for me, I had fibromyalgia for 10 years and I had horrible anxiety and OCD and things like that, and I don't have any of those anymore. Because I realized that no one and nothing has power over me. My OCD doesn't have power over me. My anxiety doesn't have power over me. Sorry, someone was trying to call me. I have 4 kids I will watch. Yeah, I have 3 kids. It'll be awesome. It'll be awesome for you. And if you have any questions or you want to reach out, feel free to do so, Kristen. This is what I do. I help moms, get over that hump, to drop the pills, to drop the CBD, to take control of their own life and step into their power as a goddess. And goddesses don't have anything wrong with them. They're perfect. And that's what everyone needs to realize, is that they're already perfect and they have the power inside of them to change at any moment as soon as they decide they're worth changing. If you're loving this video, please feel free to share this out. More moms need to hear this message, especially this time of year when everyone's stuck at home with their kids. Like I said, I just learned that in Australia, they're on their summer break right now. So if you're in America and you remember what it's like between June and August to be stuck with your children, that's what they're dealing with in Australia right now. And my heart goes out to all you women. Oh, summer break. I remember. So when you realize that when you're trying to control your kids, what you're doing is using power over them, you are creating a disconnect in your own belief system. If you have a sticky note on your wall that says no one and nothing has power over me, which I do, it's not even a sticky note, it's this big. It's a full piece of paper. This is a different one, but I don't use sticky notes because I'm not, I got eyesight issues, so I use big pieces of paper and they're plastered all over my room. So when you say no one and nothing has power over me, you have to also realize that you have no power over anyone else. Okay? And our children, they already know that. They come out of our womb and they know that they have all of the power because they're crying. They're crying and we take care of them. And they're poopy and we change them. And they're hungry and we feed them. And they're like, oh man, I have all sorts of power. Look at this lady. She's just falling all over me. And okay, they can't walk, they can't talk, they can't fend for themselves. So yes, we're caring for them, but we somehow have this warped perception that when we're caring for our children in their power, that we're somehow controlling them. Like, oh, I got the baby to go to sleep. I got the baby to be quiet. No, the baby knew what she needed and you provided it to her because she called for you. And now she's sleeping because she's choosing to sleep. You really, like, there was not very much that you did except for maybe, like, give her a titty or warmed up a bottle or changed her butt. But that was something that she already knew that she needed, so she asked for it and she received it, and now she's sleeping. Because babies know their power. They know that they have all the power inside of them. And then through being raised, they have, you know, what's the terrible twos? The terrible twos is a bunch of 2-year-olds trying to learn how to be a human. They no longer need you to change their butt. Like, I don't know. My kids are potty trained by the time they're 2 because we cloth diapers. So until 1950, most Americans were potty trained by 18 months. It's the disposable diapers that keep them in diapers until 3. So just FYI. If you're wondering how to potty train your kids quickly, just switch into cloth diapers real quick. They don't like being wet. Just a little side note for you. More moms need to hear. Oh, hi, Bobby. Yes, we are all goddesses. We are all here to create a fucking awesome pleasure planet, and we have forgotten that. So babies don't forget. 2-year-olds, they know. 2-year-olds also know that they have the power. They're also trying to figure out how they fit, though. They realize that they've got the power, but they also realize that there's this structure. It's like this game, right? I talk about it all the time to my clients that the world is really just a giant game of Monopoly, and as soon as you realize that, you can have way more fun in your life. So, because nothing matters. When no one and nothing has power over you, having no money in the bank doesn't matter. And having, like, secondhand Christmas presents because that's all you could afford doesn't matter. And not being able to fit into your Christmas sweater doesn't matter anymore because you can just get a new Christmas sweater. Whether you gain the weight or whether it was because it doesn't fit anymore, like, it doesn't matter. Because if it's because you gained the weight, you have the power to lose the weight. If it's because the damn thing shrunk, then you have the power to go get a new sweater. It doesn't matter. It's not worth an anxiety attack over. Do you see? Sorry while I take a sip of my elixir of life. Coffee. So the 2-year-olds, they realize that there's this game. There's these rules that we've all decided to play, and that's what the terrible twos are. It's this power-filled, like, powerful being that has been... I'm not doing Christmas cards and neighbor kids. It doesn't matter. Exactly, Cajun. It doesn't matter. You don't have to, like, feel bad about it. It is what it is. You're fine. So you realize that you have this situation where you have a 2-year-old. Okay, a lot of us have toddlers. Mine's, he's almost 4. And then I have an 18-month-old. So, like, as one's getting out of that stage, another one's just right in there. And the 18-month-old, she's realizing that she has to fit somewhere, but she also realizes that, like, when she cries still, we come and get her, and when she still needs a lot of things from us, but it's not that she needs us. We think that we have all the power, and again, like I just said, they have all the power. They're the ones that know what they need, and it's our job to figure out what the fuck it is that they need so that we can help them, but we don't have any control over it. Like, how many of you have tried every single thing, and the only thing that works is, like, snuggling on the couch watching some, like, ridiculous TV show, and you're like, really? It's been an hour and a half and all you wanted to do was snuggle on the couch and watch TV, and I've tried changing your butt and feeding you and doing all these other things. Like, really? You can't talk yet. So that's what it is. Trial and error for us. But we get all warped and we're like, oh, we're powerful. Oh, I know what I need to do to calm down my baby. Well, all you're doing is what she knew that she needed, because she has the power. So then you get to the toddlers who know that they have the power because they've been being treated this way, but they also realize that not everyone sees that they have the power. And so they start acting out and they're like, no, this is how I want to be. And we're like, oh, fit in this box. Shh. We shush our children. And I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that we don't shush people that we actually respect. If you're like in the movie theater and you shush someone, you're doing it to bring negative attention to them, to essentially shame them. So shh and shame start with the sh sound, because we're trying to assert our power over someone by shaming them, and so we shush them. If you actually like respect someone, you usually tap them on the shoulder and you're like, hey, can you be quiet, please? Okay? But you don't go shh. Shh is for people that you're more powerful and you're trying to like condemn them somehow by shaming them into being quiet. So notice that too. So we try to shush our children, we try to control them and fit them into these boxes, and then when they're not doing what we tell them to do, we're freaking out. Oh my God, why won't my kids listen to me? Oh my God, why are they still fighting? I can't believe that I can't even get my children to sit down and eat their vegetables, or whatever it is, right? Have you ever tried not making them eat their vegetables? Because you can be creative. There's literally nowadays like thousands of ways for you to get your kids to eat their vegetables. I don't understand why parents like think that we have to force them to eat broccoli instead of like making it different. Like we make broccoli and cauliflower tater tots, and my kids think it's so cool because the tater tots are green. They're still eating their vegetables. Or pasta. We have our whole like pantry is filled with pasta, but it's vegetable pasta. It's like that type of pasta where you get a full serving of vegetables when you're eating it. So here they are just slurping down their spaghetti, and they have no idea that they're eating like 3 servings of vegetables all at once. So again, it's your perception, it's your ideas of what it's supposed to be like that you're then trying to shove down your children's throat, instead of thinking of creative ways to be different, and different ways to figure out how to get them, not to get them to do, but like your job as a parent is to help your children see how powerful they are and to harness the power, because they are new, like they need guidance, but they're not going to get guidance from someone who thinks that the world is out to get them. And they're not going to get guidance from someone that thinks that they have to control their children. They're not going to get guidance from someone who's having anxiety attacks all the time because life is so unfair and how can this be happening to me, and it's just one thing after another and no matter what I do I can't get on top of it, because that's what you're perpetuating, and then you wonder why your kids are acting that way too, because they're just modeling what you do. When you know that no one and nothing has power over you, therefore you don't have power over your children, you can have more fun. And you can think of, you know what, eating vegetables is a really important thing because it's a health thing. I'm going to sneak the vegetables for a while, but as they get, like, I don't mean to sneak vegetables to my 10-year-old. He used to hate mushrooms, despise them. Like, I couldn't even cut them up, he knew. And now, because we talked about mushrooms and we learned about mushrooms, and we've talked about their like that they're a fungus and the properties of a mushroom and how they're ancient healing benefits and all this stuff, and now my kid doesn't care about mushrooms at all. You know, we watched a couple of documentaries about meat because I am mostly plant-based, and he wanted to know like what was going on, so we watched a couple of documentaries, and now he doesn't like to eat meat either. He doesn't think it's fair to the animals because he's a child, so he still thinks about the world in fairness, which is fine because he is a child. You have to realize that there's a very thin line between you being an adult, completely sovereign in your goddess queen power, and teaching your prince how to eventually one day rule the kingdom, and you being also in your child with your prince and being like, oh, it's so unfair that you don't respect me. Like, that was a big thing for me for a long time. Like, you don't respect me. You have no respect for me. And yet I didn't respect myself. I didn't keep my own boundaries. If I had a list of things to do and I didn't get it done, he just saw that I didn't get it done. And so he's like, oh, well, I don't have to do my chores either. So when you are trying to control your kids, what you really have to do is control yourself. And I use the word control very loosely. So then you get up, so you move in, and then you're in teenage years. So you've gone through this whole, and you're like, okay, well, you need to do this, and here's your homework, and you have to do your homework, and you need to go to your sports, and you need to go to bed at this certain time, and you just tell your kids what they need to do, and you never really talk to them about why they need to do it. And when they ask why, you say, because I said so. Because I said so. It's like the worst excuse ever. Because I said so. Thank you, Kristen. I love it too. I love to chat with you, honestly. Just so much yes. I love you, Cajun. So you're like, you need to do this and you need to do that, and because I said so, and this is what it is, and I had to do it. How many things did you rebel against? I would like to know, because I know that I rebelled like a motherfucker as soon as I turned like 14, 15 years old, and I had other friends that were like willing to break the rules with me. And I wasn't a huge rule breaker because I was super afraid of the consequences, but I still broke the rules. I still snuck out of my house. I still drank underage. I still did these things. And drinking underage wasn't a huge thing for me because in my family, my parents talked to me about alcohol. They told me how it was a depressant and how it worked in my body, and it wasn't as big a deal. But like sneaking out, that was that was scary. Sneaking in my house was super scary. But I never went through a rebellion. Ever? Like, even after you moved out, even after you were like on your own, there weren't things that you were like, ooh, I want to experiment. Ooh, I want to try this. Ooh, I want to try that. Because you didn't know about it. Because you weren't taught about it, or it was... I think my parents were very loose and let me do a lot. Okay, so when you say that they let you do a lot, and you didn't go through a rebellion, was there a phase in your life that you felt out of control? I wonder, was there a phase that you just, all of a sudden you realize, like, shit, I gotta, like, rein this back in? Because some parents overcorrect, right? I'm not saying that yours did, Kristen, but it's an example that I see with my friends whose parents were super, super strict. They end up overcorrecting and being really loose, and now they have teenagers, and their teenagers are, like, way more rebellious than we ever were, even though she thinks that, they think that they were the fun parents, or I always just think about that mom from Mean Girls, Regina's mom, just like, I'm not like the other moms, I'm a cool mom, or whatever, right? That's what I always think about whenever I think about loose parents, because they were still doing those things even if there wasn't the fear of being in trouble, right? It's really interesting. I'd like to talk to you more about that, actually. How you see, like, your parenting versus your... Anyway, I digress. So, you get to this teenage stage, and most people, a lot of us, rebel in one way or another. We either rebel by not going to college when our parents wanted us to go to college, or we start drinking and partying after, sneaking out. Or we get to our 20s, and we're loose and free on the world, and we're in college. Yeah, that sounds a lot like me. I was 19 when I got pregnant, and 20 when I got married, and 20 when he was born. I was only 20 for like a month when my oldest was born. And then we got married when he was like 10 weeks old. We were engaged already, but I live in Utah, so being engaged at 19 is totally normal. I love my husband to death, though. We're not the average Utah couple. So then you have this whole stage, for me, we'll go with that, Kristen. That's awesome. I love that. So for me, my rebellion stage actually happened after I had children. I kind of rebelled a little bit in high school. Not really. I hated the feeling of always thinking I was going to get in trouble. I was mostly like the home base. My friends would come and check in with me, like stay at my house or whatever. And then I got into college and I kind of went a little crazy. Not too much. Partying a little bit, trying some illicit activities just to see what it was like. And then I got pregnant, and then I got married, and then when my son started preschool full time was when I actually went through my biggest rebellion. And it's also, if you watch some of my previous live streams, when I was the most anxious, was the least happy with my life, was searching for infidelity, was drinking in the middle of the day. I was doing all these things because my life wasn't what I wanted it to be. I felt like I was totally out of control in my life because my parents had controlled me as in told me what was good and not good. They taught me a lot of things, but they also it was very strict. Like, you get a B. If I got anything below a B, I was grounded. If I was caught lying, I had to stand up in front of my parents and recite The Boy Who Cried Wolf from memory. And if I couldn't remember it, like, I would be sent back to my room and have to sit there and memorize it again. It was pretty strict in a lot of areas when it came to, like, morality and were you caught cheating on your tests or any of these things, but it never was really explained why. The why was never there. The why was always just, I'm the parent, I'm in control. If you're going to live in my house, you're going to live by my rules, and that's that. Yeah, wow, that was my life. So, you know, it is what it is. It's my story. That's why I love being able to teach moms now, because honestly, I've run the gambit of a lot of things and have come out where I am now, realizing that I get to decide what my life is like from now on, and that my story doesn't matter. My story is my story, but it doesn't matter at all. And a lot of people get stuck on owning their story. Oh, well, this happened because of this in my childhood. Like, there are literally thousands of dollars spent on shrinks. All of us, like, I think our parents kind of, like, went through this phase where they were like, well, if I'm fucking up my kid, at least they'll have a therapist when they're older and it'll be fine. And that's not really a very, like, good way of thinking when you're raising children. Instead of thinking, my child has immense self-image issues and is 10 years old and is thinking about committing suicide, and I think CBD is going to be the answer. The fuck? You think that CBD is the answer for your kid with self-image issues? Because you have self-image issues, and so when you take CBD, it helps you? That's pretty ass backwards. What about fixing the self-image issues and then teaching your child how to apply those same tools? Or if you're doing what I did earlier and taking a step away, I came back and I explained that. Like, guys, I just needed to take a second. I don't just, like, walk away from my kids and come back and then, like, pretend like everything's fine. I have conversations with him. We talk about a lot of stuff. My 10-year-old starts freaking out. I ask him, do you need a break? It's not the same as going to timeout. He's not being sent away. You don't, like, timeout is you isolating your child versus asking them if they need to take a break or walking with them to take a break. Take a time in, you know? So you can go discuss what are the feelings that they're having. Because so many men, well, boys, they start feeling these big feelings and they're triggered immediately to be ashamed of them. They immediately are like, ooh, I did something wrong. Even when you don't think that they're in trouble, they think that they're in trouble because that's how their brain is wired. Or a little girl, like I said earlier, our biggest anxieties as girls is isolation and desolation. So we don't want to be stuck alone, and we don't want to be we don't want to have our basic needs met. That's what triggers our biggest shame, and or our biggest fear, and it triggers our anxiety because we're constantly walking around wondering, oh my god, if I don't have my groceries, then this is going to happen, then this, and 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 then we're going to be desolate, and we're going to be on the street. And when you talk to men about being on the street, women are afraid of, like, getting hurt and not having enough money or not having food and not having shelter. Men are, like, ashamed. They're told they wouldn't even be able to look someone in the eye if they became homeless. So that can show you, like, just there, the difference between how men think and how women think. And when you know that on a men-women level, you have to bring it down to a child level. What am I doing that's triggering shame in my 3-year-old right now? Is it shushing him? Is it telling him no all the time without following through? Is it the because I said so? Is it the pick up your toys right now, or and like the threats? Is that causing the shame? And with my daughter, how am I isolating her? Are there any times that I have left her in the playroom by herself while I'm, like, changing linens and then get distracted? And then she starts crying. She's crying because she's alone, not because there's anything actually wrong with her. She's in the playroom, she's totally safe, and we wonder why she's freaking out, because she's triggered by the fact that she's alone. because women are triggered by isolation. And this is just how she's 18 months old, guys. Like, she doesn't understand it, but I can see it because I know how men and women's brains work. I can then break it down to my children. And I luckily have, 2 boys and a girl, so I'm able to see the difference between the genders as well. So when I tell you how you can control your kids is by really embodying that no one and nothing has power over you, and therefore you have no power over anyone or anything, it makes parenting so much more fun. Because you don't get into these power struggles. You don't get into this, I need to control you. You get into this place where you're thinking, why is my child acting like this? And what do I want to teach him or her? And that's it. Like, that's how I go through my day now. I don't stress out. I don't scream and yell. I don't have, like, temper tantrums. If I start feeling those old patterns, because they're old, deeply ingrained patterns, I need my I don't even need them. I like having my deep breathing. I like being able to meditate. I like being able to journal. Those are nice tools for me. But those are tools that I need because I have all of these years of habits and repatterning that, of old patterns that I'm having to constantly work at. My kids don't need to go journal because I'll be able to help them through it. And if my oldest needs to journal right now, it's just kind of working through it. And I realized that when we take responsibility by clearing our shadows, our kids aren't going to go need therapy later because we're going to have already dealt with it, and we're going to have already taught them those skills, and we're going to have this whole generation that doesn't have the rebellion, that doesn't go through their early 20s being like, I'm free, and then possibly ruining their lives by overspending, by getting into dangerous situations, all these things that a lot of us went through. Like, I spent some of my, late teens, early 20s really discovering my body through sex, through illegal drugs, through all these things, because I didn't really know how to use this body that I was given because we weren't really taught it. Again, I live in Utah. Our sex ed is don't have sex. That's it. The body stuff was very talked over. If you again check out some of my live streams, I talk about penises and pussies and all this stuff because I think it all fits together. When we are responsible, when we take back our own power, we then realize that it's our responsibility to clean out the shadows that are there from previous generations so that our children don't have to deal with them. When you think about the fact that the planet possibly isn't even going to survive till the time that my oldest is 30 years old, so in another 20 years, you look at some scientific research and it says that the planet can't even sustain us for another 20 years, you think, well, I can't have him spending 10 of those years trying to find himself. And then you think about all the kids that are doing all these amazing things, like that trash sucker that's sucking up the trash in the ocean, and environmental pollutants. There was another kid that invented this air filter sort of thing, just all these things that these genius little children, these teenagers are coming up with in their science fair projects. But then you wonder what else is going on. Are they how are they dealing with the rest of their life and coping with the rest of their life? Because you see the pattern that these super genius kids, a lot of them are super depressed, and they're stuck in their little hole, and they're just focus, because at least they know how to do that because they know how to control that part, but they have no idea the power that they have in the other parts of their lives, and they just they turn off, and they're antisocial, and you've got ADHD and all these teen suicides increased, all these problems that we have with our young children because they know that they're more powerful than we could ever than we let them be. And then we force them down, and we put them into a box, and then we're sitting around bitching about how our parents put us into boxes and how we're and then we're doing the same fucking thing to our kids, and we're complaining about how our parents have ruined the planet or this, that, and the other, and then we're doing the same thing because we're too afraid of what it would be like to look inside ourselves and to fix it ourselves. When you clean out your own shadow and you clean out the generational wounding and you're able to process that and you're no longer emulating that own pattern, you're not going to teach it to your children. You're just automatically not going to teach it to them because you've taken the responsibility on yourself to be like, no, I'm not going to be this way. I'm not going to be the way that my parents were. I'm not going to be the way that my aunt was. I'm not going to be the way that even my sister or my brother or anyone is. I'm going to be me. And I have decided that no one and nothing has power over me. And when no one and nothing has power over me, I also don't have power over anything else, and I can just have fun. And I can just teach my kids to eat their vegetables, even if I'm sneaking vegetables and pasta for a while. Or I can teach them how to handle these huge, big emotions without portraying that it's because they need to. It's okay to be angry. It's totally okay. There's not even a time or a place to be angry. It's more that once you are angry, you can recognize it. What is making you mad? What do we need to learn from it? Do we need to leave? And really walk them through instead of making these executive decisions for your kids. Oh, it's time to leave. We're leaving. Why are we leaving? I don't want to go yet. Because you don't know how to, you're acting a fool and I don't want to be here anymore and we need to leave. It's time to leave. It's too much for you. Who are you to decide it's too much for them? Maybe they're having a lot of fun. Oh, well, they're tired. I know how my kids are, blah, blah, blah. Are they? Or are you just embarrassed? Do you not want to be the mom that has the kid that's freaking out at the birthday party? And so you're just going to try to leave as fast as possible. There's a lot of questions that you need to be asking yourself as a mom when you're doing things. When you're disciplining your children, it really shouldn't be, how can I control this situation? How can I assert my dominance? How can I make this better for me? And instead think, why is my child acting like this? And you want to say, oh, because they're tired, they're so overwhelmed. Okay, if they're overwhelmed, that's fine, but you don't need to leave the party. Does that make sense? You don't have to, maybe you need to go into the bathroom and have a little chat with your 3-year-old about not pulling the candy canes off of the Christmas tree because they're decorations, but you don't need to leave the party. And you think, oh, well, it's teaching them a lesson. No, what you're teaching them that their fun isn't worth it and that you teaching them isn't worth the time it would take. So they should just leave, and that they're not worth the fun that they're having, that they're worth the punishment that you would rather give them. Okay, so these are all things during this crazy time of year that I would really challenge you all to start looking at. Really challenge you to see, what is my goal as a mom? What do I want to do with these children that I have created life and I'm raising? What is my end goal? Not because you have control over it, but that will help you parent from a better place when you know what your own goals are. Then look around your life and see, where are you not holding your own standards? If you expect your children to clean up after themselves, you sure as fuck better be cleaning up after yourself. If you expect your children to do a to-do list, you better be doing your own to-do list every day. And I have a master to-do list. And then I pick 3 things every day because I know that I can't get them all done. And it's just going to give me anxiety if I try to make a giant to-do list and not do it, probably not do any of it. Versus having one giant to-do list and then moving things 3 at a time over. And then my son, my oldest, sees 1, 2, 3, and then he sees me complete 1, 2, 3, so it's easier for him to go do his 1, 2, 3 chores. And now he's learning how to create his own to-do list, and he's learning how to set that boundary and to follow through. So when you're the mom, when you're the example, you have to realize they're looking at you everywhere. Your daughter is watching you when you're getting ready. I guarantee it. And when you tell her that she's such a pretty little girl and she's beautiful and it doesn't matter what other people think, all of that's going to go flying out the window the second that she sees you put on something and you think that you look fat and you're standing there saying, oh my God, I'm so fat. When you say it out loud and you don't realize that she's standing out behind your, kind of sneaking and looking through the corner of the door. She's going to hear you when you tell your husband that you need to go on a diet because you need to lose the next 15 pounds. Just all these things that you think your kids aren't paying attention to, that's when they're paying attention. Do as I say, not as I do is fucking bullshit because your children will always do as you do. So if you're anxious, if you're freaking out, if you're a screamer, if you have no control over your own body, if you are allowing yourself to think that the world is happening to you, then that's what your kids are going to do. Your kids are going to think that you're a mean mommy. Your kids are going to rebel even harder because they know inside of them that they've got power, but they're not seeing, you're not emulating to them how to use that power, and so they're just completely out of control. Because your job is to teach your kids how powerful they are and to help them, like, focus that power. But when you don't know that you're that powerful yourself, how the fuck are you supposed to teach your kids how to do it? You can't. You absolutely can't. So it 100% starts with you. The way you can control your kids is to control yourself. The way you control your kids is by knowing that no one and nothing has power over you, and therefore you have no power over anyone or anything, and that is 100,000% okay. In fact, it's the way that this game was made. I am the creatrix of my own universe, and I'm teaching my children how to create theirs. Theirs might not look, I'm not saying when I say create goals for your kids, I'm not like, this kid's going to be a doctor, and this kid's going to be an artist, and this kid's going to be a lawyer. I mean, in general, my children are going to be world citizens. They're going to be able to be active participants in society because I've taught them what that looks like, and they're going to learn about injustice, and they're going to learn about the areas of the system that are broken, and they're going to learn all these other things as young children, things that we usually don't learn till college or never, or we have to figure it out. They're going to know all of that because that's what my job is. It's not the public school system's job to teach my children. It's not my parents' job or even my husband's job. My husband, absolutely, he wants to provide for me. And the way he provides for me is by backing me up. And we have those conversations all the time. We didn't used to, but we do now. So I really, really, really challenge you all to write that down. No one and nothing has power over me. Therefore, I have no power over anyone or anything else. And that's okay. That's totally okay. It's the way it's meant to be. And if you are looking for someone to help you, guide you on that journey, to help you figure out, to find that power inside of you, to be the goddess that you are inside, then I invite you to reach out and talk to me. I have several different ways to work with me, different price points. I have an academy coming up. And one-on-one spaces open as well. I would love to help as many mamas as possible on this journey, because once you feel your own power and once you know in your heart that you are sovereign, that you are the only thing you have control over, that life is happening for you, not to you, that you have the ability to create from nothing, that you have all the time that you need to create the most beautiful, magnificent life that you love, that you are willing to fight for and create what you value, that's when the fun begins, guys. And who doesn't want to have fun in this life? So thank you so much for watching. It was kind of a long one. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out. I'll leave my link in the bottom. I'll leave a couple of links, and feel free to message me. And I hope you all have a great, great Thursday, Friday, wherever you are in the world. Just have an amazing weekend, an awesome Christmas, and I will talk to you all real soon. I promise. I love you.